It's been over 10 years since the fall of the Taliban in Afghanistan, since the supposed fall of a corrupted government who stripped women of their opinions and actions and viewed women as mute objects in society. Over 10 years ago, countries such as the United States promised to intervene and stop the Taliban's oppression and imprisonment of women in their own households. But has this promise become reality? Over 10 years has passed since the fall of the Taliban, yet have women's rights really improved?
Women in Afghanistan have lived their lives as an object of the property of men. Their basic human rights are violated. Many go through life without knowing what their rights are. Although there have been some improvements regarding women's rights issues in Afghanistan, recent research done in 2012 by the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission shows stunning statistics that suggest otherwise. There have been over 3,000 reports of violence. Most of these cases were in Kabul, showing that this is one of the only places where women have a better awareness of their rights. These cases include rape, beating, poisoning, amputating, burning, and more, within a 6-month span. These cases are only from women who are brave enough to report it. Gender inequality, violence, and laws that don't favor women are unfortunately part of Afghan tradition and culture. In this graph, you can see the different types of violence that women report, with most of the reports coming from physical violence.
It is not only physical violence, but also arranged marriage as part of Afghan traditional culture. While child marriage is viewed as shameful by many Afghans, it is often arranged by poor families for reasons of economic survival. Women of all ages may be arranged or even sold into marriages. 14-year-old Shanaz is one of them.
Shanaz, tell me about your father.
پدرم عملی بود. عملی که بود قرضدار بود. بیامدم بدم سرای کرد به ما پول بده. پول نداشتیم، هیچی نداشتیم. انا مرا عروس کرد.
How old were you when your father sold you?
7 ساله.
In this video, 2 Afghan women were publicly beaten after trying to run away from their husbands, whom they were forced to marry. The Afghan government is supposed to protect women's rights. The government ratified a law in 2009 called the Law on Elimination of Violence Against Women. It rendered it a crime to be violent towards women. Article 22 states, any kind of discrimination and privilege between the citizens of Afghanistan, whether man or woman, have equal rights and duties before the law. Unfortunately, the passing of this law seems to be a gesture to relieve some of the pressure of people pressing the government about women's rights. The legal system doesn't exactly enforce the law, and many citizens of Afghanistan don't even know that this law exists, or they choose to ignore it because their beliefs and tradition prevail. On February 3, 2012, the National Ulema Council of Afghanistan declared that women are secondary to men, and that some violence against women is ordained by Sharia law.
In 2009, a law was passed in Afghanistan that stated a man could legally starve his wife if she refused to have sex with him for more than 4 days. Many women voted for the passing of this bill, and only found out what they were voting for after it had passed. Some lawmakers even say that the law was never debated in Parliament. This law also allows a rapist to avoid prosecution by paying blood money to the father of the girl who was raped. This applies to women that are of age and underage, which essentially sanctions child abuse.
As it turns out, she had burnt herself to protest their marriage.
از ننگ مردم که عمیق ماما که می آمدم بس به اینجی که می آمدم من گفتم پیار مردای می دادن که پیار تو ایت چیزی بود مادر تو اینجی عروس شد خود تو اینجی عروس کرد خود من از زمین ننگ گفتم باشه که خود سوزی کنم که دیگه بومارم دیگه اینا من نه.
Many women in Afghanistan will burn themselves as an act of rebellion against their arranged marriage or abusive husbands. Some want to die, but others want their faces and bodies to deform so badly that their husbands won't bother to beat them anymore. Shanaz was forced into an arranged marriage at the age of 7 and decided to burn herself at the age of 11 because of the ridicule she faced from her family and friends.
But there is hope for the future of women's rights in Afghanistan through the work of Fawzia Kufi, a zealous political leader now running for president in 2014. As president, she would provide hope for all women and bring progress to Afghanistan within the next 10 years. As she said in an interview, "As long as I am alive, I will not rest in my desire to lead my people out of an abyss of corruption and poverty. But if God wills it, I may die having become the first female president of a country I love, and a country that will finally see all of its children, both boys and girls, born into peace and security, not violence and war."